welcome back. Welcome. Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. Itchy. So, today, we're going to be reading for the water signs. That's going to be Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, in that order. And I'm going to be using, again, my Oliver Hibbert tarot deck. And also pulling cards from the Empyrean Oracle, which is lenticular. Hi Kayla, thank you for coming. So good to see you. Oh, thank you. I was just listening to it earlier. I love City Pop. So, let's get started. Hi Eve. Thank you for coming. It's so good to see you. I will be doing mirror scrying over on the members side of the channel after this live stream is concluded. So let's start with the sign of Cancer. And Cancer, if you would, go ahead and set your intention for the reading. I'm doing very well, thank you. I hope you're well also. And then if there's any thoughts or ideas that you're having about this particular subject, just go ahead and allow those thoughts to rise up to the forefront of your mind and wait there patiently while I shuffle the cards. And then, if any of these things are causing you stress, or if you're in physical discomfort, or if there are other things in your life that you're ready to release, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. So as you inhale, draw in divine source energy with each one of those oxygen molecules, those O2 molecules. And then allow the oxygen to infiltrate your body through your lungs, into your blood, to the very cellular level until it enters the mitochondria. And then the oxygen will go through the electron transport chain. When we get to the end of that, then we're going to release this CO2 molecule. And when we release that CO2 molecule, everything you're ready to let go of, any physical discomfort, any stress, you're just going to release with your breath like and it will be returned to source and it will be transmuted. Hi Victoria, thank you for coming. It's good to see you. Cancer. Let's see if I can lay these cards out properly. And then I'm also going to pull one of these cards from the Empyrean deck. Sorry about that. People are loud. Hi, Jasmine. Thank you for coming. It's really good to see you. You got here just in time for all the dogs barking and the horns blowing. I'm kidding, of course. Okay, good. All right, so let me write down my timestamp for the Cancer reading. Which is 6:40. Exactly. Cancer. All right. So let's start in the past for you, Cancer. Here in the past, we have the High Priestess, and this card is showing up in the reverse. So there might have been a time in the past where you were holding on to a lot of secrets, but it looks like that time has passed for you. The High Priestess is also a very solitary energy, such that she doesn't really have a partner in the tarot. Like the High Priestess and the Hierophant are not necessarily linked together, nor is she necessarily linked to the Magician nor the Hermit. However, all of these figures share some similar attributes and energies. The High Priestess also kind of straddles two worlds. So you can see that she's between the pillars of mercy and severity. She is receiving divine messages from Source directly, so acting as a conduit, but not in the same way as the Hierophant, who is receiving messages from Source and then broadcasting them to the general public. Here in the place of the significator, we have the Five of Wands, and that's going to be crossed by this Magician card. So the Five of Wands is a card about creative competition, about rivalries, about situations where there might be a lot of people who want to get a few select spots. But in the process of doing that, there's the potential for exchange of ideas, such that things are very competitive, but that also means that everybody's picking up each other's tricks, each other's techniques, so that they can all become better in that field. And now we see potentially the energy of the High Priestess becoming similar to that of the Magician. So the Magician does have the benefit of all of the tools of the major or of the minor arcana here upon this table. There's an emphasis on the wands, on that fire creative spark. So you are entering the fray here with these amazing powers of manifestation and creative energy. And because we have so technically what we have is the 5 wands here. We've got a wand here on the table, and we have the wand in the magician's hand. So the magician can also be a little bit like the 2 of wands. Not strictly, because the meanings are very different. But there's a lot of planning that goes into proper manifestation. So then we get into like 7 of wands territory, where now, because you are the magician showing up in this situation, you have kind of risen above the others. But we don't see that happening just yet. Down here in the Imam Silai, we have the Ace of Cups, and this card is showing up in the upright. This is a very good card for new relationships. It is a very good card for reconciling emotional aspects of the self. So that new emotional energy could be going toward other people. It could be going toward the higher power, or it could be going back into yourself to transmute certain attributes, working through stuff. This would be the catharsis after working through something and coming to the end of a previous emotional cycle. It's very interesting that we have this Ace of Cups, where in the place of the significator, we have all of this fire energy. This Ace of Cups could represent the cup here on the magician's table, that there's an alchemical balance that's going to be taking place between the water and the fire. From your perspective on this situation, we have the Knight of Swords, Cancer. Now, the Knight of Swords is fire of air energy, so very active energy. It is a good energy for cleaning house. It is good energy for cutting things out of your life that are no longer serving you. But the Knight of Swords is a very kind of less refined energy than the King of Swords, who's using a very finely tuned discernment. So this would be more like having 2 piles in your house, a get rid of pile and a keep pile. We're not necessarily like going through and organizing. This is more like that binary discernment. So doing that in layers rather than saying like, well, this one's glass, this one's plastic, this is a can. The King of Swords helps you sort the recycling. The Knight of Swords helps you clear out your old wardrobe. So that might be part of this emotional renewal, that perhaps there are people that you're no longer going to allow in your life. Now, this Ace of Cups is in the upright, so I take that to be a positive thing. Here from the outside looking in, Cancer, we have the Flower card. And this is one of the secret arcana, which I have mixed into my regular deck. And I love the result. So the Flower is a card about purity, innocence, simplicity even. Like a deflowering. But here, people might perceive you to be simplifying things in your life a lot. Again, that housekeeping type energy. There might even be a certain like purity or innocence around this situation. where we have that Ace of Cups, that you are really pulling back a lot emotionally, putting into place good boundaries, and it's helping you to maintain a lot more purity and innocence in your life as well. That's just one of the potentials, though. Here in the future, we have the door, and the door is showing up in the reverse. However, because it's in the future, the closer you get, the more potential it has to turn upright. The door in the reverse like this has to do with the way to something being blocked to you. So where you are showing up as the magician in this group, right? And that should put you far above your competition. Maybe at this current juncture, the path to that peak is still blocked for you, but that at some point soon, you're going to unlock that, and a lot more possibilities are going to open up to you. Here in the hopes and fears, we have the Eight of Cups in the reverse. You may not want to leave a place. You may, and when I see the Eight of Cups in the reverse, sometimes I think about sunk cost fallacy. So even though these cups are not necessarily full of money or fame or success, what they're full of is something very important. It's your substance. It's the equivalent of your blood, sweat, and tears. It is the emotional effort and energy that you pour into other people and into situations. And you might feel, because you have poured out so much into a certain situation, that you're very hesitant to leave. And that is going to hinder this process potentially with the Knight of Swords, because you're going to need to be objective in that situation, and look at the facts, because the factual information is how people actually have treated you, and not how much you like them or how much love you have for somebody. It's very important to put into place boundaries with people. Here in the midheaven, this card did jump out, and I felt like the midheaven position was the place to put it. So this is in the reverse, but it's your goal or destiny. So at some point in the future, there's going to be an emotional closure for you. This situation, potentially, that began down here in the Imam Silai with the Ace of Cups, you will see closure to that. And it will bring in potentially emotional fulfillment to you as well. And that might be a contributing factor as to why you're afraid to walk away from something, or hesitant to walk away, not necessarily afraid. But it's an important step that you're going to have to take, because here in the final outcome position, then the card that we have is the Six of Cups reverse. And the final outcome is kind of like advice. It gives you a little extra insight into aspects of the reading that can help you with your decision making. So this Six of Cups reversed then is showing up in opposition to the Flower card in the upright. You may be tempted to return to things from when you were younger because you think it will be a return to innocence. But this juxtaposition is telling you through the reading that in order to simplify things to the point you desire and put up those good boundaries, that you're going to have to let go of the past and not look backward, but look to the future. All right, Cancer. And then finally, the Empyrean card that I drew for you is, let's see if I can get it to focus. Endure. That's pretty cool. So, endurance will help you to reach the end of these cycles that you are working through right now. Let me look into the book also and see what they have to say about it, just so that I cover all my bases and make a home run. Like a desert road that stretches on for miles, it may not seem like there's an ending in sight. But trust that there is. To endure is to take the next breath, to willingly turn the other cheek, to resolutely accept. It's not glamorous, but there is magic in simply getting through, of moving toward the sun but not feeling its heat yet. That same strength flows through your veins. Let it rise within you, and when you doubt it, think of your ancestors and keep going. So that is going to conclude the Cancer reading for this week. I'm going to move on now to the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio go ahead and set your intention for the reading. And I will shuffle the cards. Additionally, any other aspects of the situation, anything related that floats up to the forefront of your mind, just allow it to wait there patiently while I shuffle and deal the cards. And if you are experiencing some anxiety, either related to the topic of your reading or just in general, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. So as you inhale, draw all of those little oxygen molecules carrying divine source energy into your lungs, and then allow the oxygen to permeate your tissue and be drawn into the mitochondria to take part in the electron transport cycle. And as those electrons bounce down that electron transport chain and create ATP, you're just going to allow any of the negative energies or things you're getting ready to let go Just allow those things to kind of get pushed along to the very end, where we're going to release that CO2 molecule out of the lungs and out of the body. Just release all those things back to source, and they will be transmuted for you. And draw one of these Empyrean cards. I love plastic card decks. I'll probably go back to use my plastic cards soon. Interesting. Very cool, Scorpio. And your timestamp, please. All right. So, let's start here in the past, Scorpio. We have the Hand. Now, this card is showing up in the reverse. If you look down here, there's what looks like a little piggy snout. So the Hand might be speaking to a period of time where you were kind of just grasping at whatever you could. There was a lot of taking and not a lot of satiation. So you might have been either consuming a lot of intoxicants, or you could have been eating a lot. Generally like gluttonous behaviors, which we are all subject to. I'm certainly not judging. But just consuming and never being full is kind of the idea behind this card. So there might have been a period like that for you in the past, Scorpio, but I can see that you've left it behind you. The Hand is number 19 in the Secret Arcana, but I think of it a lot like the Devil card from the normal Nature Arcana. Here in the current situation, in the place of the significator, we have the Queen of Cups showing up. So this could be you, Scorpio, in water of water energy, showing up as the Queen of Cups. This is being very deep in your own emotions. And actually, I'll kind of show you like this, but then I'll go into all of it a little more in depth. So we have the Moon card also showing up in the Imam Sealai, and we have the Queen of Cups being crossed by this Three of Swords here. So there's a situation where there's a lot of emotional turmoil going on. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad. You might be kind of like keeping it to yourself too, because one thing about the Queen of Cups, she's very nurturing to others, but she doesn't necessarily let her own emotions show through in situations. So there could be something like that going on for you at this time, Scorpio. As I mentioned, the crossing card is the Three of Swords. This is turmoil, heartbreak. It can represent a breakup or a serious argument in a relationship that could lead to a breakup, even if it doesn't lead to the breakup. And it doesn't have to be in an emotional partnership either. It can be a situation at work. It can be anything where there's turmoil and disagreement between people that is not outright warfare like you would see with the Five of Swords. So down here in the Imam Sealai, as I mentioned, we have the Moon card. And the moon here is Pisces card in the major arcana. There's a situation going on right now where things are very complicated and it is difficult to navigate. Things are obscure. There's not enough light being shown on situations, Scorpio, for you to safely navigate the situation. But the sun will eventually rise again, and when it does, you'll be able to see more clearly what's going on in a situation. From your perspective, Scorpio, there's an inequity. And I say that because we see the Two of Pentacles here showing up in the reverse. So sometimes this can be that there's a partnership of some kind. It can be a friendship, it can be a coworker, it can be you and your boss, it could be a romantic partnership, but that you perceive an inequity there. Either that one person has a lot more than the other, or one person is investing a lot more in the relationship than the other person. From an outsider's perspective, looking in, we do have another one of these Secret Arcana cards, and this one is the light. And the meanings between this one and the shadow card, I kind of mix up. So I always read from the book for this one so that I make sure that I get the full intention of the card. And that one is number 16. So in the reverse, someone perceives hidden lies. And this could be something that they are perceiving that you are telling lies or that you're hiding lies. But it could also just be that because this situation is very unclear, that it's difficult for anyone who's involved in it to really parse out what exactly is going on. I just get a lot of argument and a lot of perceptions of inequity, and also that the most important thing to remember is that things are unclear right now, which means that they're not just unclear to you, they're unclear to everyone who's involved. So once everything gets sorted out, it might be a little easier to determine if anyone is actually taking advantage of someone else. And that way you can avoid more argument. If you can try to maintain objectivity, because I do see this as a very emotionally charged situation that's going on for you right now, Scorpio. Here in the future, we have the Eight of Pentacles, and it's showing up in the reverse. And future position cards sometimes have the potential to eventually be upright, because that hasn't been set in stone yet. But the Eight of Pentacles is about a long-term way of earning money for a craft. It can be multiple streams of income. It can be passive income, but it's kind of something that is long-term, that builds over time. You get better at what you're doing. You get more established in your field. So what might be going on right now is that the potential for that situation is currently building. There could be something in particular, Scorpio, that you could turn into a long-term financial stability. This can sometimes also have to do with dynamics with other people. Like this would be a representative card of being married for like 25, 35, 50 years, for example. Because that's the investment of time, energy, money, etc., that you put into that kind of shared situation. So it can be something like that as well. Here in your hopes and fears. We have the Six of Wands, and it's showing up in the reverse, Scorpio. I think this is kind of... So here's what I think could be going on for some of you. Here in the past, you had resources, but it wasn't enough, right? You were able to bring in resources very quickly, maybe in a gluttonous way that it was very easy come, easy go. Or there might have been ways in which there was such a scarcity mentality that now it's difficult for you to kind of parse out situations where things are, where the potential is for things to be equitable, and kind of working things out with people in a way that everyone's on the same page. Because right now I see that everybody is very confused about what's going on. The Six of Wands also is in opposition to where we have that Two of Pentacles in the reverse. So that you kind of feel like things being inequitable between yourself and other people is robbing you of that victory, robbing you of that mobility, and that you'll never be able to get ahead. But I don't necessarily think that that has to be the case. Again, your hopes and fears, we look at that because we want to look at where your head's at, right? We do have some swords closing out the reading for you. In the midheaven, we have the Eight of Swords, which is about being trapped. But I don't think that this necessarily has to be the case, even though this card is upright. The Eight of Swords is all about your perceptions of being trapped, which, after coming out of this very unclear situation, that's how you might be feeling. And the final outcome is the Seven of Swords. So this is kind of like a card giving you advice, and kind of wrapping up anything about the reading that might not have been fully fleshed out. Here in the opposing corner, where we're looking at other people's perceptions of this current situation, which is very unclear. That's where we were seeing hidden lies. So other people could be harboring hidden lies, or there could just be a lot of people not being forthcoming with each other about things. I really, the sense that I get more than anything else in this situation is that there is a lack of communication because of people's emotions getting in the way. That people are too emotionally invested in their own desired outcome when the potential is there for everybody to have a really good situation overall. The Seven of Swords is kind of like getting one over on another person. It can have to do with betrayal, treason, backstabbing. It can also be about creative means of obtaining new resources. So more like a strategy card. Because of the oppositional energy, I think there's just not enough trust in this overall situation, Scorpio, for everyone to kind of figure it out. So my overall advice is definitely a certain amount of get in where you fit in. There's nothing ideologically pure about anything going on in this situation. But you have to keep in mind, too, that underhanded dealings are going to generate more underhanded dealings. And whoever this Queen of Cups is, this person is showing up in the upright. This person is not showing up as an emotionally manipulative person. But connection is unstable. Hold on. I'd have to go get my Ethernet cable. Okay, it looks like I'm back. You guys let me know if you can't see anything. So the Empyrean card that I pulled for you, Scorpio, is unfurl. And as I was mentioning in regards to some of the previous cards, I would take this card unfurl to mean kind of letting your own motivations be known. You don't have to sit somebody down and be super direct and say, now look, here's how it's going to be, blah, blah, blah. It's something, when we say unfurl, we have to let the flag out slowly so that it doesn't get tangled in the wind. We have to raise it up the flagpole. Sometimes it takes teamwork to do that, depending on the size of the flag. So unfurling something requires parsing it out. It requires paying attention to all the little details. And that is what I would encourage you to do moving forward through this situation, Scorpio. And I'm going to pull some clarifiers on that Seven of Swords, because I don't like closing the reading with that. So we have King of Swords, that finely honed discernment. We have the World card, so this is going to be some kind of resolution in that situation. And then we do have the Sun coming out in the reverse. So the Sun card is always a good card. It guarantees a successful outcome. It's just that when it shows up in the reverse, it maybe isn't quite exactly like you wanted it to be, but it'll still be a really good outcome. So I'm glad I pulled some clarifiers for that. And so now I'm going to go on to the sign of Pisces. Pisces, 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 Pisces. And after I have finished with the readings over here on the general channel, I will be going over to the member side of the channel and I'll be doing some mirror scrying. I'll be doing mirror scrying just for a little while. You might notice I haven't changed up my decks for a few weeks, and I'm kind of just sticking with this setup for a little bit. And let me tweak my colors a little bit. There we go. Okay, great. So Pisces, if you would, just kind of set your intention for the reading. And any associated thoughts or ideas, just allow those things to rise up to the forefront of your mind and wait there while I shuffle the cards. And then just kind of do like a little bit of a body scan if you would like, and see if you're holding tension anywhere. See if you are stressed out about anything, if there's any physical discomfort that you're experiencing at this time, Pisces. And if that is the case, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. So as you inhale, draw in those oxygen molecules through your lungs into each and every one of your cells and into your mitochondria. And we're going to use that oxygen to bounce electrons through the electron transport chain. And as you do that, we're just going to push all of that negative energy, anything that you're ready to let go of, we're going to push that right out of your cells. And we're going to use the CO2, the final byproduct. And we're going to use that CO2 to carry those things out of your body. And they will be returned to source. And they will be transmuted. So I'm also going to draw one of these cards from the Empyrean deck. Interesting. Okay. Things seem kind of complicated for the water signs this week. It's fun for readings, but certainly don't wish that on anyone. Okay. Okay. So here in the past, Pisces, we have the Two of Cups, and it's showing up in the reverse. So what this lets me know is that you could have recently ended a relationship. And this could have been a romantic partnership, but it also could have been a business partnership with whom with someone you shared a close emotional bond with that person. It could be kind of cutting a parent out of your life, or a sibling or other family member that you might have previously been very close to. The Two of Cups in the reverse just speaks to the end of a very close partnership. But it doesn't speak to the way in which that partnership ended. So usually, like 10 of Cups in the reverse, I say that that could have been the ending of a partnership, but it's like people leaving on good terms. This would be more like a contentious breakup, potentially, but there's not as much given about the character of that parting of ways, if that makes sense. Pisces. Here in the place of the significator in the current situation, we have the Queen of Swords. So speaking one's truth. This is water of air energy. So a passive element balanced by a complementary active element. And the Queen of Swords is very much about promoting her own truth, and she'll behead anyone who gets in her way. But she's showing up here in the upright, so we can assume that the motivations behind this are noble. Crossing the Queen of Swords, we have the Judgment card. And this can be about passing a test that it's required for you to complete successfully in order to rise to the next level. So this can be like passing the bar exam to become a lawyer, graduating from college, completing your doctorate, things like that. It can also be like people talk about the Lionsgate portal, and that there are certain downloads that come along with that, and that when you successfully download those things, then you kind of ascend to a higher plane. It can be things like that. It can also be life's trials. So, especially in regards to a failed partnership of some kind, the temptation might be to go around slandering that person or telling everybody their dirty laundry. And the Judgment card crossing the Queen of Swords lets me know that you're probably not doing that, but that's something that is coming up at this time. Are you going to be promoting narratives that only serve you, or are you going to be promoting the truth? Here in the Imam Silai, we do have the Venus card, which is all about attraction, beauty, splendor, all of the soft and lovely things in this world. And that can also include a certain amount of financial success. Oh, I beg your pardon. This is the Mars card. I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought this was the Venus card. When I put it down, I read it as the Venus card. But in fact, this is the Mars card. And the Mars card is all about fighting. It's about warlike behaviors, aggression. So quite the opposite. So there's some contentious things going on for you in the current situation, Pisces. And that is what the future is going to be built upon. Not that it's necessarily going to be continuing into the future, but all of this aggression, all of these people kind of fighting with each other, people being very invested in right and wrong, that is going to set the stage upon which future events will be taking place. Here, from your perspective, we have the Four of Swords in the reverse. So you guys know that I read this as the nap time card. And when it's showing up reversed, that means that you might not be getting a chance to rest, or you might be perceiving that you are not able to rest enough. And it does look like, with all of these things that are going on, it does look like that's the case, that everything's kind of in turmoil right now. There's not necessarily a lack of clarity like we saw in the Scorpio reading. It's just that there's a lot of contentiousness, and it could be based around the ending of that relationship. So, from an outside person's perspective, looking in on the situation, we have the Magic card, and it's showing up upright. And you know what? I think this is a really good card to get here, because the other person in this situation and people around this situation potentially, they see this potential for communion with the higher power. This card is all about positive manifestation. This wouldn't be like a black magic card. It's not coming out in the reverse. It's coming out in the upright. We see this sphere in which this person is sitting, cradled by the hands of the Creator, right? And we're balancing the sun and moon, solar and lunar energies, and it's infinite. And down here we have the secrets of eternity locked in this very tiny pyramid. So a lot of I'm not saying that this isn't going on, but what I am saying is that there's like so much more that's available in this situation that isn't being tapped into. But look, I have the Mars card here, which is a 5 and is associated with that energy of turmoil. But the 5 of Swords didn't show up in your reading, the 10 of Swords didn't show up in your reading. The only swords that you have here are the 4 of Swords in reverse and that Queen of Swords. And what that implies to me in the reading, Pisces, is that a lot of this turmoil might be coming from you. Now, I certainly don't fault you for that, because everybody has emotions, everybody has baser drives and needs, and anyone can come from a place of scarcity. Anyone can feel like they have to do this in order to get what they want or what they need, right? But that Queen of Swords energy is very tricky. Just be very careful about the narratives that you're promoting at this time. And I do think that you will be. I think that because of the future cards, I think you will come through this in a lot better shape. What we have here is the mushroom in the future. And this card has to do with fantastical journeys, being guided by the stars, general whimsy and delight. It's very much like Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, right? Without any of the delusion or things that come along with the darker aspects. So that's a very good card to get in the future. And I think it's this manifestation very soon, because of how you're handling this judgment moment, that is going to overcome any animosity, any fighting, any turmoil that's going on at this time and lead to better things. In your hopes and fears, we have the King of Pentacles. And the King of Pentacles is a very stable energy. So this is kind of associated with Taurus. It is the opposing elements of air and earth, those energies combined. So you get that logic, but also the groundedness and the financial stability. And that is in opposition to the 4 of Swords in the reverse. So you might be working very hard right now because you see that as the path that's going to lead you to this. Now, in the midheaven, this is going to be the result of all of the current fighting and turbulence and aggression. And that is the Chariot card. So this is victory and mobility. But look at how relaxed the sphinxes are that are pulling the chariot. This guy's so relaxed he doesn't even have his hands on the reins. Okay, so this card is not just about victory and mobility, but it's a very laid back kind of a card. There's no aggression, there's no turmoil here. There's only forward momentum and victory. So that's going to be very good for you moving forward, Pisces, as long as you can make it through this situation. And the final outcome card for you is the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Now, this is a really interesting card to get here reversed, because the Queen of Pentacles is about fertile proliferation of resources. And where she's reversed, it can be about like sterility or infertility. not just physically speaking, but like in your business endeavors, right? But this too is in opposition to where this magic is taking place all around you. I kind of see this as like you, and then all around you, this magic is taking place. And that's why it's being perceived that way from the outside looking in. And if you look, what you have here, she's got this pentacle, but this is more like a sphere. This is probably far more precious than this pentacle she's holding, but the financial value of this is very difficult to quantify. So to me, that I think is why the financial proliferation is a little more elusive to you, Pisces. That there are things of great value that you offer, but it's very difficult to put a price tag on that. However, because of these excellent cards in the future and in the midheaven, I do see that there will be success for you. It just might not be the kind of thing that is perpetually feeding back into itself. And the Empyrean deck card that I pulled for you is Haze. You can see somebody kind of peeking through the clouds there. So I'm going to read the book on that and see how it might relate to the reading overall. Because haze is kind of like your vision's being blocked. Okay, here we go. I don't know how to use a table of contents. I'm apologizing for that. Like being backed into a corner, being chewed at, and feeling like you have nowhere to go. The haze can be all encompassing. It's waking up feeling mangled, flayed open, but not knowing how it happened or how to put a stop to it. The darkness can feel overwhelming and confusing, leaving us blind, grasping for straws. The danger of this space is that our mind can dig the hole deeper and deeper without us realizing it. The key is in slowing down, letting the alarms ring out in your head, but not rushing to them. Before we can move forward, we have to meet ourselves where we are at. We must accept it and let ourselves hit that bottom we are trying to avoid. Because the haze will bring you to your knees over and over again, begging for relief. But until we stop fighting, we won't find it. And then this next part is very key. But when we lay down our swords, when we quiet the desperation in our gut, we can build our staircase. So I think it's about finding the balance in this Queen of Swords energy that is really going to make you a lot more comfortable in the future. All right, Pisces. That is going to conclude your reading for this week and conclude the water sign readings. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me today. Your presence here is greatly appreciated, whatever form it takes. I'm going to go now and do the members first crying, and then if you are a channel member, you could go over there and I'll do readings and stuff for you guys too. So you're cordially invited. But again, I just really appreciate each and every one of you so much. Your likes, shares, subscriptions, comments, chat, or otherwise mean a lot to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And until I see you again, I